Lionsgate portal. We entering this place. Make no mistake.
Today's the day that we move Gus to the new space. We're on our way right now to pick up Gus and do the movement. So feeling pretty nervous, excited, hopeful, just ready. So this bus has to fit through this space over here. Fig tree is tied back for passage. Gratitude.
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
Or make a couple mistakes and then try again.
Good?
Yeah.
We did it!
We did it.
Wow.
Gus is in. Gus is in. Gus is in. Gus is in. Gus is in.
Yes. Yes. Today is day 2. It's the first day in the bus. Yesterday was the moving the bus into position to be able to work on it. And so I'm here. I'm clearing the space, clearing the energy. It's been a few months since I've been able to actually work on the bus. So I'm going to take a lot of the block today to get reacquainted, to set up the workspace, to prepare myself to be building and like building in more of a full-time intentional energy. The first thing is I'm going to release the fig trees that we tied up to allow the bus to come through, and do a little sage for some trees or in bushes that like got run over in the process. And we were hoping to be able to avoid them, but there's a lot of big roots and we got stuck on a root and couldn't get around it without getting right up on one of the bushes. So just moving in gratitude for the land for allowing us passage to come in, and then I'll go in the bus and start getting all that situated. Very excited, very nervous, honoring the commitment, and it's a little nerve-wracking, and I hold space for both of those things. So let's get into it. Fig trees are free. All right, this is Gus. Current condition. I'm gonna clear it out to make space to build. I will admit, stepping in the bus, I am quite overwhelmed, and acknowledging that to make space for solutions to come. Tiny broom, tiny house. It just broke, but a little trial, a little error, and this piece is in, which means that the big piece can go in because I troubleshot the screw size over here. And these are holes that I'll seal and patch with some wood filler or some caulk. The way I wanted to stop after doing the cleaning was very intense, and I had to remind myself of why I'm doing this and why I want to do this, because that's the motivation. And I am pushing through and screwing this floor down, and I will figure out the next step after that. Great day. It's 4 o'clock. I just arrived at the bus 2 hours later than I was hoping and planning to be at the bus. And also divinely timed because it just finished raining. So, everything's going to work out as it needs to be. I am very excited to get into what's happening today. It's preparations to paint the floor and potentially painting the floor. Since it did rain, I don't know if the wood will be dry because that's why the floor is being primed. There's not a lot of leaks at this point, but there are still 3 to 5 significant leaks in the roof, one of which being this door that need to be handled. I do a lot of work to prepare for this bus build, and then I get to the point of action, and then I'm like, what if I forgot all these things, or what if it doesn't work? And the journey of the bus build right now is it might not work. And it definitely won't work if I don't do something and I continue to stay in the spiral. So all I have to say is I've spent the last 2 hours panicking about what to do about this floor. But I already have the paint. I already have the mold-killing primer that I'll be using to treat the floor and prepare the floor for the next step. And I still am panicking for the last 2 hours about doing it. And so I think it's just time to do it. And this video is helping me get there. So let's go. Day 5, also moving day. I'm here for 2 hours to check on the primer and paint around the edges with a paintbrush to finish this step. And that's what we're doing today. So ready to knock it out, and then I'll go finish packing and move. All right. Used the second hour, because the first task took 30 minutes, to paint the other wood that's on the walls and prime that. So, hopefully there's less mold issues down the line because buses leak. And, we're going to fix the leaks as best we can. And also it's a vehicle and things shift and move and seams change. And so being as proactive and reactive as possible through this learning curve. Day 6, I'm at the bus. I had no plans of being at the bus today, but when it calls, I listen. And yesterday was a very intense day and very challenging, and I think I needed to come to the bus today to remember the joy of all of the things that I'm moving through and why it's worth it. And the bus is a portal and a vessel that holds a lot of that and has held so much of my grief for years. And so, this is a place I come and I move and I build. So today we are climbing on the roof. And we have a friend coming by to be here, which is just so beautifully encompassing of what this bus build and journey has been, will be, and why it even started. So what a gift to be alive during these times and to be doing this thing that I'm doing and leaning into the calls of care and engagement with folks. So there are a few brackets up here that are leaking, and it's time to tend to them. The plan for the roof is to seal the seams on the side with the tape that is here. And for these that are still leaking, and maybe all of them, removing the tape, because that was my first layer of defense against the water. It's not working for the ones that were leaking. They're still leaking. It just added an extra layer of protection for the ones that weren't leaking. The tape does work. If you can see that front seam, I taped that down a few months ago and all those leaks stopped. Whenever there was caulk, places that should have had caulk so that it was flexible and moved with the bus, there was cement in the seams, just a line of cement. And so when it cracked, as it was always going to do, it then no longer held the seam. So I replaced the caulk up there with a seam and then put the tape over it. It's just nice to have more protection, especially with the water, especially because once the walls and stuff are up, it would be more catastrophic once it is discovered if there's a leak. So preventative leak maintenance is really the thing. The seam of the door, I went to a place called the Green Project in New Orleans. Y'all see the sweat on my glasses? And they suggested putting as much weather stripping as possible in the seam so that it still was flexible, but it was sealed out. And if you get it tight enough, it'll keep the water out. It could work, it might not, but I definitely know that everything I've tried doesn't work. So we're gonna give it a shot. I replaced the weather stripping on here over a year ago around this door, and this piece has just been hanging. Part of me didn't want to cut it because what if I needed it later and then I couldn't find it? Part of me was scared to cut it because what if I did it wrong? So either way, it's still not cut. But today, it's time. When building a bus, it's helpful to learn how to fly. Thank you for watching week 1 of this 12-week bus build intensive.